Back here on the RoughRiders pregame show, we're joined by RoughRiders outfielder Chris Grayson, who had the game-winning sacrifice fly a couple of nights ago and helped make the comeback happen yesterday in the ninth inning. Chris, it seemed like the team was probably feeling pretty confident in that ninth inning, especially right after your hit, because that game was certainly well within reach.
Yeah, it was just, that's kind of what we preach. Woody instills in us as, no matter what inning, what the score is, just keep that line moving. When you're at the plate, battle for that next guy behind you, get him up to the plate, and we all go to the plate with that mentality. So, runners first and second in my bat, I'm just thinking if I could get on base, put more pressure on the defense, let the next guy do what he can. Skoll was able to get on base after me. So that's what we pride ourselves on, keep the line moving no matter what the score is, just pass the stick.
The ball game on Monday night, the bases are loaded, 13th inning. I mean, everyone's just got to be exhausted at that point. The game is more than 4 hours old. What are you trying to do there?
Well, in that situation, I just credit that to the teammates in front of me. Like I was saying, pass the stick, Trevor leads off with a single. Pat gets hit by pitch. Odubel draws a walk. It kind of made it easy for me. I went to the plate, bases loaded, just relax, just wait on my pitch, get something to drive to the outfield to get that run in. And I credit that win to a team win because they set me up, where it was easy for me to do my job.
Facing a lefty isn't always easy to do in those spots either, right?
No, I mean, I knew eventually he had to come with a fastball, even though he threw a couple good pitches to get the 2 strikes. He threw a couple sliders that I took, saw him well. I knew eventually he had to throw a strike or leave some in the zone, up in the zone for me to drive. So even once I got the 2 strikes, I was still confident that he had to throw some up in the zone that I could drive. But right now I hadn't really, lefty or righty, I'm pretty confident right now that, if I just wait on my pitch, I could do damage against lefties just as well as righties.
If you take a look at what you've done over the course of your career, this is probably the best that you have played in now more than 2 calendar years, going back to your time with Hickory a couple of seasons ago. What steps forward have you taken individually with your game to allow you to get to this point?
Just, fine-tuning my skills. Every year I kind of go into the year, how can I make myself better? And, last year I didn't really do as well driving the ball Myrtle the other way of the field. I was kind of relying on my pull abilities. And, going into the offseason, I was just like, how can I make myself better? Oh, if I can use the whole field instead of just relying on the right side of the field, that'll make me that much more dangerous. And, it minimizes what the pitcher is able to do to me as far as being effective and get me out. So this year I've just been taking what the games give me. If they're going to throw me away, take it that way. If they're going to try to bust me in, I'm confident enough to just react to that pitch. And this year I'm just letting the game come to me instead of trying to go get it and do too much.
We're here with Frisco outfielder Chris Grayson. It's been a little bit of an unsettling season for you in terms of where you've been. You were with Frisco, then with Myrtle. You've kind of bounced back and forth. Does that make it tough to get into a regular rhythm?
Not the only tough part about it is, just understanding the scheme of the pitchers. Because, the pitchers here, I feel like pitch different than the guys do in high A. And, I kind of have a resume in high A, facing all those teams so many times the past couple of years. They kind of have a way of pitching specifically to me. Here, the pitchers, pitch to a routine. They kind of pitch everybody the same. It's not just about, this is how we're going to pitch Grayson. So it's just kind of 2 different mentalities as to how I approach the game, because there I kind of have an idea in high A, that is. I have an idea of how they're going to pitch me, and I have to commit to going the other way. Here, the guys have a little better velo. They have a better idea of what they're doing. So, I have to stick to what approach I take to the plate and stick with it the whole time and hopefully get the pitch I want.
Chris, I remember you and I talking a little bit about your story into pro ball and the steps that you had to go through, and that was not a smooth ride as well. Share for our listeners just a little bit the story of you getting drafted, not being able to sign, and then your college bouncing around as well.
Well, as a kid, I always wanted to play for hometown LSU. And out of high school, I really didn't have the opportunity as far as scholarships or whatever. So I decided to go the JUCO route and went and played 2 years out in West Texas. And after my sophomore season, the Cardinals offered me, and I turned it down because another home state college, University of Louisiana Monroe, had offered me a full scholarship to come home and play. So I turned down the offer because I really wanted to play in front of the home state fans. And then we had a mishap in my transcript, so I wasn't able to play for UL Monroe. And the coach over there was really good friends with the coach over at Lee University, where I got drafted out of. And he told him, like, hey, I have this player that I think you'd really like. He'd be a good addition to the team and help y'all go to the World Series. So I got in contact. He got in contact with me, and they actually, the same school tried to offer me out of junior college, but I was like, nah, I want to go play for home. And so he was just persistent, and he really wanted me to come play for him. So I went and checked out the school, and it just seemed like the perfect situation for where I was in my life. And went and played at the College World Series, and it was actually a great decision for me. I'm glad I went.
Growing up in Louisiana, it's not really in anybody's territory as far as a major league club. Were you an Astros fan, Braves fan? Did you have a big league team growing up?
Yeah, Braves 100%. That's been my team for a long time. I'm sure a lot of people in the South just, the Braves, they were on TV every night. Even though the Astros, the Rangers were closer, the Braves had a network in Louisiana where all their home games were on TV. And that's actually how I learned the game of baseball, watching the Braves play.
Chris, one thing that folks always talk about at the major league level is the level of African-American participation and how it's gone down. And you're actually the first, since I've been in Frisco, the first African-American player that has been a member of the RoughRiders. I know that there are many, many others in this farm system. A lot of them are at lower levels. But is that something at all that you have thought about? And what led you into playing baseball?
Well, I'm actually from a football family, and as far as African Americans, that usually is what takes guys away from baseball. They're usually so good at other sports, basketball, football. I played all of them in high school, and I'm the youngest of 5, and the brother above me, he took up baseball when he was in junior high, and I was in elementary, and Mom would drag me to the games, and between watching Braves games and going to his games and actually learning the game first, I was like, now that I know the game, I kind of want to, I want to try this out. And I was 8 years old, and my mom first signed me up. And right when I started playing, I had immediate success. And I was like, wow, this is fun. Like, this is what I want to do. And all up through high school, I played both sports. And going into my freshman year of high school, I said, if I want to go pro in a sport, I need to pick one and stick with it. So I chose baseball. And I played baseball all 4 years. And actually my senior year, the coach heard about that I was pretty good at football and they needed a guy. So he asked me to come out, and I actually started varsity my senior year, only playing, and that being my only season playing football. It made me miss it a little bit, but I always knew my heart was in baseball, and that's what I wanted to pursue.
What position were you?
Cornerback.
Cornerback, okay. So were you shut down cornerback? Were you a hard hitter?
No, I was more defensive specialist. Like, the corner on the opposite side of me, he was the shutdown corner. So I got picked on a lot because they would throw away from him. And we actually had the number 1 linebacker in the state. And he was my best friend at the time. And we just had an agreement. He knew I wanted to pass defend. He was like, hey, they run it your side, just turn them inside, I'll come to get them. And he could defend sideline to sideline. So I just turned the play inside and never failed. There he was.
Well, the way you roam those gaps, it looks like you're picking off passes sometimes when you're going after those fly balls. Chris, really appreciate the time and appreciate you sharing your story. Best of luck out there today.
Thank you.
That's Chris Grayson, RoughRiders outfielder. We're back right after this here on the Frisco RoughRiders Baseball Network.